Welcome to the Full-Time FBA Show. In each episode, it's our goal to help you turn part-time hours into a full-time income selling almost anything on Amazon. And now, your hosts of the show, Stephen and Rebecca Smotherman.
Hello there and welcome to another episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. Today we're on episode number 311 and we are talking about the VA ROI equation. That doesn't spell something VA. It's two different acronyms, VA ROI equation. We're talking about how to know when your VA is paying for themselves. And with me to talk about this episode is my co-host and business partner, Stephen Smotherman.
I think the acronyms are paying for themselves.
Yeah, I think so.
There's a lot of letters there.
I'm going to start saying VA instead of VA ROI.
It sounds fancy.
It does. Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into it on today's episode of the Full-Time FBA Show.
As we're getting into the topic for today, I want to let you know we have a really great masterclass coming up next week on October 9th, and we don't want you to miss it. It's called Profit Check Mastery, and we're going to teach you the specifics of how to make solid buying decisions on potential inventory in under 2 minutes per item. What? I know that sounds crazy, but it's doable, and we're going to show you how. Profit Check Mastery is going to be an action-oriented hour of learning skills that will give you profits in the days and years to come. So join us on October 9th. Sign up at fulltimefba.com/profitcheck.
Yeah, Profit Check Mastery ties in perfectly with what we're talking about today on the Full-Time FBA Show, because our topic for this episode is calculating the ROI of your VA. And ROI is a big part of every Amazon inventory buying decision.
And Stephen, before we go too much further, I want to level set that VA stands for virtual assistant and ROI is return on investment.
Yeah, good to know that. Good to remember that. And so as we continue through this episode and we're dropping VA and ROI, now you know what they mean. So imagine with me that you've decided to hire a VA. Maybe you don't have to imagine. Maybe you've already hired someone, but let's say that they're working for you part-time. You're paying them $500 a month. Awesome, right? We talk all the time at Full-Time FBA about how we love working with VAs, and we encourage you to consider hiring someone in that capacity when you reach the right point in your business. But there's more to it than I should hire a VA that will help me do my business. It's what I should do. Like anything else in your Amazon business, you need to know your numbers. When it comes to paying your VA plus what the VA is accomplishing for you, is that VA that you're paying $500 a month helping you earn an extra $2,000? Or are they costing you $500 but not really contributing anything financially to your bottom line?
It's a tough question, but that's what we're going to spend the rest of this episode answering together. It's something that we have spent a lot of time talking about in our own business because we have a team of VAs, and we want to make sure that it continues to be a good investment and not a drain on our expenses.
That's actually the first thing we want to cover on this subject. When you hire a VA, you need to know and view it as an investment, not an expense. A good VA, or even a team member who works for you in person, is going to be an investment in that they'll contribute in ways that lead you to make more profits.
Yeah, that's it exactly. Many sellers think, I can't afford a VA. I don't have enough to cover that expense. And for some of you, that may be true. You're not quite there yet. But for others, it's because you're viewing a VA as an expense that takes away from your bottom line and not realizing that it's up to you to make sure that you're giving your VA tasks to accomplish that will increase your profits in the long run. So here's some examples to think through, and then we're going to get into the math of whether or not a VA is good ROI in your business. So examples of tasks your VA can do that will provide real monetary value to your business are product research, lead generation, handling emails for you so that you don't have to spend hours doing that yourself. Those are things that either will free you up to do more profitable tasks yourself, or they will directly lead to actual profits because they're helping you find inventory to sell. The money you spend paying a VA an hourly wage to do those tasks is an investment, because that hourly wage will pay itself back plus much more in time you save or the inventory you can buy to resell.
Now let's get into the math with a made-up example. These are just easy numbers I'm going to use here so you can see what I'm talking about. So let's say you're paying a VA $600 a month. You need to look at your own activities over the course of that month and figure out how much time the VA is saving you. What tasks were you doing before now that the VA is handling instead? Let's say they save you 30 hours a month that you were spending on your business before. Okay, now take a look at what you do in that extra 30 hours of time. Let's say you spent 30 hours sourcing inventory and you found 20 extra products that will give you $2,000 in profit. So if you spent $600 on the VA, but you made an extra $2,000 extra in profit, I mean, that's great ROI right there.
Okay, I can make that ROI even better. Let's also say that one of the tasks you assigned your VA is lead generation or product research. And the leads they give you allow you to buy another handful of products that will give you $500 of profit. Now you've spent $600 on the VA, but you're making $2,500 total in profit from the time you've saved plus the inventory they found.
The math is awesome. The math is mathing.
It's mathing.
Yeah. So these are the type of things that you need to be looking at to determine if hiring your VA is an investment or an expense. You want to make sure you're giving your VA tasks that will produce an ROI, return on investment. If not, that VA is an expense.
So there's a few signs you need to watch out for if you're concerned your VA might be an expense rather than an investment. One is that you find yourself giving them tasks that aren't really all that important. They're really just busy work. Like making spreadsheets look pretty rather than making sure they're just functional. I mean, I love a beautiful spreadsheet, but that's really not the best use of my VA's time if that spreadsheet's just going to be used to scan for profitable inventory. You also need to make sure you're keeping track of their performance or their productivity. Do you actually know how many leads your VA produces on a regular basis? Do you know how many of them turn out to be profitable? Those are things you really need to pay attention to so that you can be sure you're getting a good ROI from investing in that VA's monthly retainer.
So on the flip side of that, you can look at your business after you hire your VA and see distinct signs that the VA was well worth the investment. You should be able to see that you have more time and mental energy to work on your business instead of in your business. That should be pretty obvious in your calendar once you get that VA up and running. Of course, there's the initial time that you're going to need to spend onboarding and training the VA, but within a few weeks, you should start seeing the difference in your own schedule.
And you should start to see an upward trend in your revenue and profits after hiring a VA. Even with that added cost of paying for the VA, you should pay attention to your numbers in those weeks after hiring them and see that your sales and profits are increasing. And that's a great sign that your VA's pay is giving you a good ROI. And if you want to give your VA bonus points,
we all love bonus points.
Oh yeah, extra credit. You'll see that over time, they are taking ownership of their assignments and they're suggesting improvements in the areas of the business where they work. So this is definitely the case with my personal VA, who I've worked with for several years now. She is my right-hand woman. She does tasks that give me back so much of my time. She helps me with research. She gives me lists that I can just glance over and make buying decisions on them. She's constantly suggesting a better way of doing things or keeping me on track. I know that she is special and not every VA is going to be like her, but I seriously wish every seller could have the opportunity to work with someone as amazing as she is.
So here's a couple of action steps if you're listening to this and you already have a VA. And if you don't yet, you can take notes for when you do have a VA. So listen up. This week, start tracking the tasks that your VA does. Every task. No matter how simple, have the VA give you a list of everything that they're doing, how much time they're spending on it, all that, including what they're doing that is actually generating revenue for you. At the same time, you need to do a time audit for yourself and see what you're spending your time on. What tasks are you doing? And then how much revenue that time will generate in the form of sales. Compare those two lists and start doing the math that we talked about earlier. How much are you paying the VA? How much revenue do you earn from the time that it will save you? And how much revenue comes from their actual work? And put it on your schedule to do this math on a regular basis.
Now, the point of this math is not to find out, oh, my VA is not earning me a good ROI. I should fire them. Not at all. At least not in most cases. The point is to find out where your bottlenecks are and find where you need to improve in giving them good, profitable assignments rather than busy work. And make sure you are spending the time the VA saves you on work that actually earns you money. Unless you want to pay a VA so you have more time to play video games, I mean, you do you. But that would be considered an expense, not an investment. I want to pay my VA as an investment, so I'm continually making sure that I'm having her work on profit-producing tasks and that I am making the most of the time she saves me.
Yeah, so as we wrap up here, I want to bring us back to the Profit Check Mastery class that we're going to be doing next week and let you know that when you sign up for this class, you're going to get our Profit Check 5 PDF. This is a checklist that you can use to make sure that every item you evaluate for sale on Amazon is going to be a good fit for your business and make you money. You can also give the Profit Check 5 to your VA so they make sure that they are hitting all of the major data points in their product research for you. And so you can register for this masterclass and get your Profit Check 5 at fulltimefba.com/profitcheck.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. As always, the show notes and the links that we mentioned can be found at fulltimefba.com/311 because this is episode number 311.
And next week on the Full-Time FBA Show, we're going to be talking about building Q4 confidence in your buying decisions. We'll see you next week on the Full-Time FBA Show.
That's all for this episode of the Full-Time FBA Show. So head over to fulltimefba.com/podcast, where you'll find the show notes and links from this episode. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter where you'll get several free downloads of our popular and helpful Amazon FBA resources. Now, take action on what you've learned today so you can find success at turning part-time hours into a full-time income with Amazon FBA.